Hi, welcome to Leverage You Academy. I'm here with one of my cohort members, Miss Aisha Jackson, who is the owner and founder of Universal Impact Press, right?
Yes.
Press. I want to make sure I get it right. And she's been in the Leverage You Academy since, I want to say it's been like January, huh?
It's been January. I think actually 3 months exactly today. I joined on the 21st or maybe the 24th. So almost 90 days.
Awesome. And so she and I have actually partnered to host an event. This is our second one, actually. We hosting a series of events called Pass It On and Leverage You. So, Pass It On is the name of her book. Leverage You is the name of my book. And we put it together to create an event to support lots of people, actually. So, I'm going to let you tell a little bit about the event and what all it entails.
Yes, awesome. So this brainchild, which was your brainchild, is like the perfect solution. I really think of it as an answered prayer because so many people, if we even want to take it like, to bring in the numbers and the statistics, um, statistics say that over 80% of Americans want to write a book. How many of those people actually do write a book? Less than 1%.
Oh,
So
wow.
this like big, huge, hairy, overwhelming dream and desire that so many people have to share their stories, to pass on their wisdom, to leave a legacy behind, and even to just help people with the things that they've gone through by writing a book. We're helping them to do that in this workshop. And then also, when somebody has a book, it's like, okay, the people who I wrote this book for need to hear about it. How do I get the word out? How can I leverage myself and the work that I've done? So, it's a workshop, but really, this is like truly an answer prayer.
Yeah, and it's kind of the heart of your mission and what you do. So there's my little sidekick. I'm gonna just let him have his moment. um, you started your business basically out of learning how to publish books yourself for yourself.
Yes. So 8 years ago,
Wow.
wow, 8 years ago, I became an author for the first time. And as unique and personal as my story feels to me, it is like so identical to so many people that I hear from, which is like, I have this story inside of me. I have all of this wisdom. I've lived life. And I just know that the things that I've gone through, the things that I have had to learn through blood, sweat, and tears is not just for me. It is meant to help somebody else with a book. I want to write a book with the things that I know, not what I think, not what I've heard, not what, somebody has told me, but I know like I know. And if that book can just help somebody, then it's worth it. And so I got that feeling within myself and went on and I figured out how to get it done. And, I became an author. But I didn't start my business until a few years later when, life had just totally changed for me. I went from being a corporate executive, the CFO of a global 500 banking institution to totally changing my life, relocating from the Bahamas, which is where I'm from originally, to come here to New Orleans, and ended up meeting my husband. And then I found myself at 42 with a newborn baby. Going back to corporate life just did not have that appeal to me anymore. And I remember I would pray, Lord, like, what can I do? Show me what to do so that I'm still, productive and I'm still working, but where I can be a present mom. And guess what? He was like, help other people write their books. And I'm like, really? Seriously? Like, it's really not that difficult once you figure it out. It's not that hard. And so I started groups, Casey, totally free 99. And people would come into the groups. We would run these groups for 7 weeks and they would learn how to write their books. And one day, like, the light bulb just went off. Like, girl, this is your business. The Lord is showing you this is your business. And that's how my company, Universal Impact Press, was born. And, I always say your story may be about you, but it's not for you. and
Mhm.
everything that we have. And guess what? I started my business with a 5-month-old on my lap. And right now, any one of my two daughters, that 3 and they're 5, can come bursting through these doors. Because as
Yours
mom,
have a little more self control.
well, they're with my 16-year-old son. But as moms in business, and we have these callings to help people, and we hop out there and we get it done. So without really laboring on with this point, but it's something that I feel so passionate about because it's something that I live, that when we have something that we've cracked the code, we found a way to make things work, or to just be able to like make it through life, and we feel that burning desire inside of us to share our story, to share our wisdom, to pass it on to somebody else, that hey, let's break this down as simply as possible. We all have lives that we're living, we all have kids, businesses, things that we're running, so that we can get it done and pass it on.
You know what? You share that, like, I think everybody has their own journey and their own process to writing.
Mhm.
I know when I started writing my first book, which was a children's book, it was based on my experience of being a natural girly in news, and having little girls who saw me on the news and were encouraged to see, and women were encouraged to see a woman with wearing her natural curls. And so I turned that into my first book. And then my second book really was like blogs where I was just talking through different phases of my life, that and going through the learnings and what I learned from that experience. And I ended up deciding, okay, this could be a book. So I ended up turning that one into a book. And I just want to know, like, your process, because everyone has their own process of how they write, and what do you coach and teach your clients on, to come up with their ideas for their book and then actually get it published.
Yeah. So great question. And I love that you're asking this, because the way that I teach things is really a lot different from a lot of the teachings that I see out, just like out there in general. Because here's the thing, when you want to write a book, that's like saying, I want to cook a meal. Right? Like, okay,
Yes.
what type of meal? What do you feel like eating? Who's it for? All of these things. Books are so broad now. For us, we're really talking about nonfiction books, right? We're not talking about the fiction, we're talking about nonfiction books. So let's just call that chicken, okay? We're not making a cake. We're not, writing a poetry book or a romance or a sci-fi. We're making chicken. Now, we've narrowed it down a little bit more than just, I want to cook. I want to make some chicken. But now we have to go and say, well, what am I doing with this chicken? It all depends on the end result. So many book coaches will tell you, okay, just do a brain dump, get everything out there. Listen, if you're anything like me, whenever I try to clean up that way, or like organize my closet, just pulling everything out, it's a mess. It's chaotic. You're overwhelmed, and you just like, why did I even start this? And conversely, how many authors are like, I'm stuck. I've tried to write or work on this book. I have pages all over the place. You're doing it the wrong way. You want to start with the end in mind. If you are healthy and on a diet, you want a quick meal that's filling and very quick, you may make chicken salad, right? If you were like, hey, I want some down home, stick to my ribs type of meal, you may put that chicken on the barbecue. You may do some stewed chicken. You may do some fried chicken. It all depends. So, as you can tell, I love food, right? I'm from the islands and I live in New Orleans. I can't help it. But we really want to start with the end in mind. With the end in mind. What do we want this book to do for us? And what do we want this book to do for the reader? That is going to help us then identify, what do we have to do to get there? Do we want them to be entertained? Do we want them to feel inspired, motivated? Do we want them to have steps? Do we want to just share stories like, like a buffet? So I always say, start with the end in mind. That is so critical. And then you're going to want to map out the best way to get there. Now, we got all sorts of types of books. I've identified 6 different types of books, and I talk about this in my book, and my most recent book, Pass It On, and also the book that I wrote and released last year, AI for Kingdom Authors. I talk about the 6 types of books, general 6 types of books that, depending on your objective, you're going to follow one of those pathways to get you there. So this one size fits approach is just, in today's age, it seems simple and straightforward, but actually it's the reason why so many authors are stuck. They're not getting their books done. If they manage to get something done, it's an awful book that probably nobody wants to read. They're struggling with selling it. They're struggling to market it, and they themselves don't even feel comfortable about it, because imagine just cooking. Like, I don't know what this is, but it's something to eat. Like, here, you're not going to feel like comfortable with it. But when you're like, oh no, this is a fried chicken, I made it with intention, this is exactly what we need in this situation, you're going to be out there selling that fried chicken to the world.
You're going to want to invite everybody over to eat
it. Yes.
So and then the next phase of that is, once you've gotten that book, what do you do with it? Like, I know you mentioned this before. Sometimes that book is something that's just for you and your family, as a keepsake of your story, and a way to keep your history and your legacy going as a family. But what if it's something that's meant for the masses? How are we getting the word out there about that book? How are we marketing it? How are we using that as a piece to further grow our platform and our business?
Yeah. Once again, another excellent question. You can tell that you're an author already by the types of questions that you're asking. But this is really a great question, because this is also something, knowing what this book is for, knowing what you want to put into your book to make sure that it's ready and it's appropriate for whatever the level is that it's going for. Okay. If we're eating like a tuna sandwich salad, right, or a tuna salad sandwich, we may not need to have like a full, laid out banquet table just to serve somebody a sandwich. But if it is like, hey, this really important person is coming over, we're having this full, spread, then we want to make sure, okay, maybe we hire a chef, maybe we hire some servers. So to make it very clear, you have so many options nowadays. Self-publish and do it all themselves. They figure out, formatting, how to turn this book or how to turn this manuscript into a book. You can hire, consultants, designers, really for a very low cost to get everything together and to get it out there on the platform. It's totally free to publish on Amazon. It's totally free to publish on Barnes and Noble. Now, there's always ins and out of, being a self-publisher. And some authors are like, listen, I do not want to pay the DIY tax, okay? Because the money that I may save over here may cost me. I may leave something out. I may do something that's going to cost me later on. So if an author is like, I know that this book is just meant to take me to the top, I know that this is destined to be a bestseller, I know that this is going to spread around the world, then you probably want to be working with a professional who can guide you through the process and help you to make appropriate choices. And instead of just like driving through McDonald's, you can go in there and say, listen, I want a basket of fries and some chocolate chip cookies and a large Coke. Oh my goodness, am I like sharing my order right now? They are not asking me, okay, what are your diet restrictions? Are you on a health plan? Now, if I go and I sit down someplace else to eat, if I go to Commander's Palace, oh, Miss Jackson, great to see you again. They know that I have a shellfish allergy. They may, remember that, okay, I have to limit my salt intake. They're going to ask me, what do you feel like eating? They're going to suggest different wine pairings. Those are 2 different experiences at 2 different price points, but also more personalized service. So that at the end of the day, you're getting not just something to eat, but something that's really working with you for your goals. So I know that was a broad answer, but authors, thank goodness, today have so many options that were just not available to us.
Yeah.
And before, only a very select few could write books. But today, we really have a ton of options.
Yeah. And that's also why we're seeing so many people getting their stories out there. And that's why workshops like this are important, because there's work that goes into it. And if you haven't done it before, it's good to have the strategy and the support of people like yourself, who's had 50 best-selling authors on her roster, best-selling books on her roster.
At 65 now. Yeah.
It's gone up since
Just
a month ago. 65 best-selling.
a flood of authors. This is like the busiest time of just ever. This is the busiest time of year when authors who have started like at the ending part of last year or the beginning of the year, and they are like, I am knocking this book out and I'm finally crossing this thing off of my to-do list.
And you're helping them do it. And like, so from there, I usually help authors try to use their books as a way to get media exposure, use it as a platform to potentially build your authority, build your credibility, as a piece to further expand your business and your operation. So with that piece, you'll also learn a lot of that at the event happening this Saturday as well. So for those who are interested in coming in and soaking up more knowledge and insights from Aisha and myself, go ahead and get your tickets on Eventbrite. The event is Pass It On and Leverage You. It'll be this Saturday in New Orleans from 2 to 4 at the library on St. Charles Avenue. And hopefully we'll be doing one more virtual so more people can join. You said you've done them in the past, so maybe we'll do another one where we can get our viewers all over the globe to join and learn this process from you. So any last words?
Listen, we all have stories. And the one thing that I always say, your story may be about you, but it's not for you. So come learn what you can learn so that you too can pass it on.
Awesome. And I thank y'all for joining us. Stay tuned for another episode of Leverage You next month.